I know what you're asking yourself. Has Bitcoin bottomed or are new lows incoming? Bears are currently calling for Bitcoin to fall to 30K. Meanwhile, Giga Chad just went on Morning Joe with Joe Kernen, and he just put all the bearish takes to bed. Hey, and Michael Saylor, he's not alone. Lawrence the Legend Lepard is on board, and he's got numbers to back up. Well, why no one is bullish enough right now? We could be in for Bitcoin's greatest bull run in history. No one is ready for what comes next. We have massive news to get to. Send it!
Bitcoin's 0.1% of the capital in the world right now. I think it's going to go to 7% of the capital.
7%?
My long-term forecast is it's going to go to 13 million over 21 years.
13 million.
13 million. But what is it 5 years from now? You're in your 4-year calculus.
You know, it's been growing 44% a year with about a 40 to 50 vol. I would think it'll move on at 40%, then click down to 35, then 30, then 25, and at some point it'll be the S&P return plus 8%, and it'll be the S&P vol plus 8%, because it's always going to be a more global, open, free capital market. Bitcoin's an expression in this view that you want to invest in an asset without counterparty risk, which means you don't want to be counterparty to a country, a currency, a city, a company, a commodity, or a culture, right? So people think it's a risky thing. It's all about people wanting to not take risk. They don't want to guess whether Picasso's or real estate in New York or NVIDIA stock will be higher in 10 years. They want to buy money. They want to buy 1/21 millionth of all the money in the world forever.
Like I said, Giga Chad put the bears to bed as usual. Now I know there's no questioning Saylor's bullishness or conviction. The man's calling for $1 million Bitcoin and beyond, but the bears are not having it. They're calling for a massive dump to 30K and a demise of the 4-year Bitcoin cycle. Let's start right here with this chart from Glassnode. As we can see, Bitcoin is going through a similar consolidation that it was going through in the last halving cycle, with these consolidations taking place around the former all-time highs. And this is why the bears apparently think we're going to 30K, but there's plenty of reasons to think they're probably wrong. History doesn't always repeat, but it does rhyme. We've been on this bearish trend for a while, but we can see something forming here at the bottom. So look at this chart, take it in. You see these 3 little points there, right there, right there, and right there. Let's go to one more chart. I like these charts because it kind of helps confirm, am I being biased in my narrative or my thought or how I'm looking at it? So when we flip that upside down, the reverse head and shoulders looks like a regular head and shoulders. And, based on that, it looks like the bottom is in. Are we going to go lower? Maybe a little in the short term, but what does the future look like? Very freaking bright. Now we see the title of the article, and yeah, it's giving this bearish vibe, but really it's saying in the long term, Bitcoin is going to do very well. But in the short term, which we know, especially in a world more absurd than it's been since like the Cuban Missile Crisis, anything can happen. And just this morning, Saylor and Kernen touched on the implications of the upcoming election, which, guys, Simply Bitcoin is going to be having a live stream debate watch party, so set those notifications and stay tuned for that tomorrow. But let's go ahead and see what Michael Saylor and Joe Kernen think about the implications of the election, because many believe it could be massive for Bitcoin. I mean, just look at these projections from Bernstein. Bernstein predicts a Bitcoin price of 80 to 90K if Trump wins the presidential race, or a dump to 30 to 40K if Harris is elected. Are we in the first Orange Party versus Green Party election? What does Saylor think? Let's find out.
Do you think that the election matters, and do you believe that Donald Trump is more Bitcoin friendly than like a Biden and Harris?
Well, there's no doubt the Republicans have taken a very pro-crypto stance.
Republicans or Trump?
Well, Trump.
And you believe him? You don't believe he's
in
just
particular.
Yeah.
There's a tension between the 21st century and the 20th century. In the 20th century, company comes public, it cost $100 million in 4 years to go public. I know, I did it in '98. In the 21st century, I can create a public crypto token in 4 hours for $100. So you have 100 million companies that want to be publicly trading an asset 1 million times cheaper, faster. That's the crypto economy. The traditional economy is you take 4 years, you spend $20 million a year on compliance. And I think that the two sides are talking past each other. But clearly, the future is faster, smarter, stronger.
I mean, you know what Senator Elizabeth Warren thinks about Bitcoin. talk
The
about
political winds have shifted, and I would say that at this point, the Republicans have shifted to way progressive, and the Democrats are drifting to the middle.
in terms of Bitcoin.
In terms of their view toward crypto and Bitcoin.
And let's say that it is a continuation of the Biden-Harris administration. Does Gensler take on a larger role? It becomes even more difficult?
That's all above my pay grade. What I would say is, my view is...
He would be Treasury Secretary? I mean...
Do you hear that? I think that's the winds of change, my friends. So is the bottom in. Is Valhalla incoming? Well, let's take a look at this. From Bandapop, I mean, he's a big-time Bitcoin analyst and is calling for the biggest bull cycle in Bitcoin's history. Let's take a look. Quote, liquidity was taken and Bitcoin is back up to 54.8K. Expect a max of 55.5K on this run, and then we could be revisiting 53K before clearly breaking back upwards. Final correction? Then 2 years bull. He went on to continue from that perspective with the upcoming rate cuts from the Fed, the weakening economy, and the global liquidity being increased in China. Quote, it seems almost inevitable that we're actually at the edge of the biggest bull cycle ever. We got something special for you. We have a clip from Lawrence Lepard that may be the most bullish Bitcoin clip you've ever seen. He lays out what's coming and what you need to be preparing for right now. But before we bring it home, look at our likes.
I gotta pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers in this racket.
Help us spread the sound money gospel. Like and subscribe this video while we take a moment to recognize our sponsors, the masters of Bitcoin self-custody, the Bitcoin way. If you're looking to learn how to Bitcoin, how to properly secure your Bitcoin, you might want to head on over to the newly revamped Bitcoin Way website where you can begin your road to Bitcoin sovereignty today. If you're looking to schedule a free 30-minute consultation, go ahead and use that link below in the show notes.
You know, the other number that I just find fascinating to me, and we should get into the multiplier a little bit because it's so stunning. This whole ETF thing has really caused me, it's kind of blown my mind and caused me to think more bullish about this than I was before. I mean, I was bullish, but not as bullish as I am now. Let me take you through the math. 700 trillion, say, of, fiat denominated assets, cash, stocks, bonds, and real estate. Maybe and these are round numbers. Maybe 350 trillion of that is cash and stocks piece of it. 350 is real estate. Okay. So Bitcoin's total market cap today is 1.3 trillion. Of course, not all that's for sale, but that is. So the 1.3 over 350, I mean, what is that, like 1/3%, of the total money out there? And so some of that 350 is going to realize that they're being debased and the only way to protect themselves, or the best way to protect themselves, is Bitcoin. And they're going to start coming in and try and buy some pro rata share of Bitcoin. And what they're going to find is it's hard to buy, and hard to buy without shoving up the price. But they are going to shove up the price. And say the bond market's $100 trillion, okay, worldwide bond market. Let's say if only 10% of the bond market comes and says, you know what, we need to hedge against this, we need to get some Bitcoin. Well, that's $10 trillion. I mean, that's 10x where we are, almost 10x where we are today. And by the way, all of that 1.3 is not for sale. I mean, that gets you from 60,000 some odd thousand to 600,000. If it were just a straight 1-for-1 multiplier, but it's not. It's better than that, because if you look at, and I found this fascinating. Fred Krueger on Twitter has done some great work on this. Everyone recommend you follow him. It's at Doc Krueger. $8 billion has gone into Bitcoin since the ETFs got formed. These numbers are a few days old. Bitcoin has gone up in value by $300 billion. It went from roughly $1 trillion to 1.3 trillion. So that would imply that 8 trillion of new flows has shoved the overall value of the asset up by 300%. So that's a 37x multiplier. Now, I'm not saying that the multiplier will always be there. And, what do you mean by multiplier? Well, what I mean is that, as 8 billion tried to buy it, there just wasn't enough available supply, to convince people to sell it. It had to go up that amount. So now think about this, there's 100 trillion of bonds and 10 trillion might come after this. Even if only 1 trillion came after this, you would, and let's say the multiplier is not 37. That's exaggerated right now because, we're just starting and, the ETFs are a new thing. Let's say it goes down to 5 or 10. It would still, represent just enormous growth. If 1 trillion of bonds comes after this, that's, 10 trillion, the thing needs to go up by, again, you kind of get to 500,000 or 600,000 a coin. So I see a world where, we're going to go through 100, then we're going to go through 200, then we're going to go through 400, we're going to go through 1 million. And eventually, we could go to 100 million, which is full hyper Bitcoinization. I'm not sure if we'll get there and when we'll get there. They might do a monetary reset before that, but, I could easily see 2, 3, 4, million per coin.
The halving events have historically been followed by substantial price increases. And as the reduced supply of new Bitcoin enters the market, this often leads to an increased demand. And in the current cycle, Bitcoin's price has seen a decline of nearly 12% from its halving price of $63,900. And while this decrease might seem discouraging in the short term, it is not unprecedented. Past cycles have also experienced periods of consolidation or minor declines before the market gathered momentum or a significant rally. The current market behavior suggests a period of accumulation where investors and institutions may be positioning themselves ahead of the anticipated price surge. On average, September has been the worst month for Bitcoin in the last decade. However, Bitcoin's dip in September has frequently been followed by increases. Check this out. Bitcoin has often recorded increases in October, a month referred to as Uptober since 2013. Bitcoin has had an average decline of 5% in September, followed by a 22% gain in October and a 46% increase in November in the 2021 Bitcoin bull run. Hey, what are your thoughts, guys? Let us know in the comments below. And if you're new to the Simply Bitcoin family, it might be time to let you in on a little secret. Holy cow, I don't know, watching Simply Bitcoin was making me smarter. Full disclosure, Normie, it's not. Temporary superintelligence is just a side effect of watching the most recent episode of Simply Bitcoin. And once the next one drops, it wears off. You're gonna lose most of your motor skills, and you're also gonna lose a significant amount of brain functionality for 72 hours. Normie, starting right about now.
Oh man, oh, jeez, oh.
Sorry, but we needed more Simply. They needed more Simply. They tried to shut us down, Normie. It only made us stronger. Now we're gonna have to drop more content and go on more adventures. You're not gonna keep your mouth shut. You're gonna go watch Dante cook on Simply Signal and spread the sound money gospel twice a week. Oh, and it doesn't stop there. Simply Bitcoin Live, 5 days a week. That's right, every damn weekday we're coming, Normie. Because the world is full of idiots that don't understand Bitcoin and what's important. They'll tear us apart. But if you stick with Simply Bitcoin, we're gonna accomplish great things, Normie. And you're gonna be part of them. And together we're gonna run around. We're gonna do all kinds of wonderful things. We're gonna get wealthy as Normie. It's just Simply Bitcoin IRL with the best and brightest minds in Bitcoin. And me, Normie, 3 times a week, Simply Bitcoin originals and their adventures. Simply Bitcoin forever. And forever, 100 years, Simply Bitcoin, Dante and Rustin running around. Nico and Opti all day long, forever, all 100 days. Simply Bitcoin 100 times over. SimplyBitcoinAdventures.com. www.nicooptidante.com. www.rustinandsimply's adventures, all 100 years, every minute. Hey, you better click that next video before you lose all muscle control. Hey, stay tuned, stay locked in. I'll catch you all next time. Peace.